Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is angry. And this time he's angry because Russia, China and India are coming together to challenge the power of America again.
U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to add 10% tariffs on any country supporting what he called the BRICS anti-American policies.
BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
This challenge is the BRICS challenge.
They are leaving their mark on the international system. BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
The group of emerging economies known as BRICS,
trying to position itself as the voice for emerging economies and challenge Western dominance of global affairs.
For those who don't know, BRICS is nothing but an alliance of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. And on paper, these nations are so powerful that in 1995, while the PPP GDP of G7 countries was $17 trillion, BRICS only stood at $10 trillion. But in 2025, while the PPP GDP of G7 is $57 trillion, the BRICS countries together have a combined PPP GDP of $72 trillion.
The expansion of BRICS could definitely boost the group's global influence.
The BRICS countries together make up almost a third of the world's GDP. The world's economic balance shifting towards the BRICS and emerging economies.
BRICS alliance has overtaken the G7 in global economic weight.
In fact, today, BRICS nations represent nearly 40% of the world's population. They control more than 80% of the world's rare earth minerals, and they hold over 20% of global oil and gas reserves. So the question is, what is BRICS doing? Why is it so powerful today? Why is America threatened by the rise of BRICS? And what does this story teach us about power, politics and geopolitical alliances? Before we dive in, I want to give a massive shout out to Odoo for supporting this content. Now listen to this very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is something that you cannot afford to miss. This August, something big is happening in India's business world, and Odoo is leading this wave. Odoo is hosting India's biggest business and tech event with over 20,000 plus founders, creators and professionals coming together under one roof. And you know what the best part is? It is absolutely free to attend. It's called Odoo Community Day 2025 and it's happening on 14th and 15th of August at Mahatma Mandir in Gandhinagar in Gujarat. And I'll be speaking at this event with my brother Ayush Wadhwa on 14th of August. At this event, you will get to attend 200 plus expert sessions, live product demos, influencer panels, founder keynotes and a killer after party that you definitely don't want to miss. So whether you are an entrepreneur, a creator, a techie or just someone curious about what India's future looks like, this event will help you learn, grow and connect with people that actually are building India's future. So if you're serious about building smarter, scaling faster and meeting the change makers of tomorrow, this is the event that you just shouldn't miss. So if you're interested, hit the link in the description and register now. And I will see you at Odoo Community Day 2025. Chalo, let's start by understanding what exactly is so special and powerful about BRICS that the President of America himself is worried. Well, there are three reasons. Firstly, BRICS is on a mission to break America's greatest superpower, which is the US dollar. Look at this chart. Slowly and steadily, the dollar's global dominance is fading away. 20 years ago, 70% of foreign reserves were in dollars. Today, it's down to 60% and it's still falling. Now, BRICS countries are planning to make a unified BRICS currency, which is a direct attack on the dollar.
BRICS countries have started a bold discourse of ditching the dollar's dominance in favor of national currencies.
BRICS common currency is going to be, as it stands right now, a currency that's backed by tangible assets.
So India, of course, stands together with BRICS nations in exploring use of increasingly local currencies and potentially launching a BRICS currency as well.
So now, if you look at the transactions across the world, a trader like Rahul from India, if he wants to buy oil from a supplier in the UAE, Rahul first needs to convert his rupees into US dollars because global trade is dominated by dollars. So Rahul's transaction passes through the Western-controlled SWIFT payment system where Western countries see, approve and even control this transaction. And for any reason, if the West imposes sanctions or restrictions on India or the United Arab Emirates, Rahul's business transaction can be instantly stopped or blocked. In short, Rahul's trade is completely dependent on the dollar and the Western banks' approval. But after BRICS strategy, if Rahul wants to buy oil from UAE again, here's how it will play out. Now he would use the BRICS Bridge platform where his rupees will be automatically converted to digital rupees, and using blockchain based technology, his digital rupees will get converted directly to digital dirhams instantly, cheaply, and without passing through the Western financial systems. So this transaction never touches the dollar. So Western sanctions or restrictions will no longer apply to Rahul or any trader in India trading with United Arab Emirates, because this trade route entirely bypasses the Western controlled financial infrastructure. So Rahul will be free to trade without the mercy of the West. And even commodities like wheat and corn could soon trade on the BRICS grain exchange, which will be priced in BRICS currencies instead of the US dollar. And this shift has America worried. Why? Because if some countries dare to do this, all countries might follow. In fact, Donald Trump is so threatened that he wanted to impose a massive tariff on BRICS nations if they dare to launch their own currency.
You know, the BRICS states, there are like 6 of them, and they were trying to destroy our dollar. They were going to say, you know, they wanted to create a new currency. Any BRICS state that even mentions the destruction of the dollar will be charged a 150% tariff, and we don't want your goods, we don't want to partake.
That's how serious this threat has become for America. Secondly, BRICS is quietly building a new world order to prevent the abuse of power that US holds with World Bank and IMF. And there's a shocking story that I have to tell you. You know, in the late 1990s, Bolivia was under heavy economic pressure. They desperately needed money for infrastructure like schools, roads, and basic services. But there was one catch. To get loans and aid from international institutions like the World Bank, Bolivia had to agree to 3 critical conditions. Now listen to this very, very carefully. 3 critical conditions. Firstly, they had to cut government subsidies, which is okay, right? Secondly, they had to open their economy for foreign investors, which is also okay, right? But you know what the third condition was? Bolivia was told that they had to privatize water. Yes, Bolivia had to privatize water. And this was such a horrible condition that in 1999, Bolivia privatized its water system in Cochabamba, which is its 3rd largest city, and the contract of water went to an American engineering company called Bechtel. And here's the problem. Bechtel was given complete control over Cochabamba's water to an extent where even rainwater collection was made illegal. And what happened next? Overnight, water prices tripled. Some families had to spend 50% of their monthly income just to access clean water. And even rural farmers who were collecting rainwater were told that it was illegal because Bechtel had the water monopoly. So do you realize this wasn't just inflation, this was survival being monetized. Now, why did the World Bank do this? Because America could influence the World Bank. Now imagine if this happens to India. Tomorrow, if there is an economic crisis and we need the World Bank, imagine if they say Ganga will belong to an American firm and Yamuna will belong to a British firm. How will you feel? It will be horrible, right? This is the reason why BRICS has the New Development Bank as an alternative to the World Bank itself. And the New Development Bank has already approved over $30 billion in loans for infrastructure projects in emerging economies. Moreover, NDB is pioneering loans in local currencies like rupees or yuan instead of the US dollar. This is the second power that is carrying the West. And lastly, since the UAE and Saudi Arabia have also become BRICS Plus members, the BRICS practically holds the population power, the currency power is rising, and the oil powers are joining hands with BRICS.
So Saudi Arabia and the UAE to join BRICS. Now BRICS, the esteemed coalition of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is shaking things up. In a major stride, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran have received invitations to join this group.
Combine that with the economic might of China and the nuclear might of Russia, BRICS appears to be one of the most powerful alliances in the world. So BRICS can practically kill the American dominance, right? Well, unfortunately, not at all. You know why? Because there are 4 simple reasons. Firstly, the US dollar isn't just money, it's a currency of trust. During global crises like wars, pandemics, or recessions, investors always rush to the US dollar because treasury bonds are always the safest investment option. And to be honest, we all know that nobody trusts China. In fact, China alone holds more than $800 billion in US bonds. So even if BRICS wants its own currency, it will take a long time to challenge the dollar trust. And by long time, I mean 50 long years. Secondly, BRICS countries are deeply divided. India and China do not like each other. Brazil is struggling politically and economically. South Africa is heavily dependent on Western investments and financial support for survival. And Saudi Arabia and UAE need America for military and security ties. And thirdly, the United States has the world's most powerful military. In fact, in 2024, America's defense budget was $997 billion, and all BRICS nations combined spent only $500 billion. That's barely half of what the US spends alone. So even if BRICS grows economically, currently it cannot match America's military strength or global influence. And lastly, in the last 10 years, while the New Development Bank has approved $30 billion in total, that's about $4 to $7 billion per year. But the World Bank lends around $50 to $60 billion each. So NDB is like a village bank in India fighting against a giant like HDFC. So the moral of the story is that BRICS is definitely challenging America's global power. But the problem is that it's not fully replacing it. Not yet, and not anytime soon. This is the story of the BRICS alliance, the challenge to the United States, and where we stand today against the United States, which is practically nowhere. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.